Hello, magandang gabi. Ako po si Trixie Cruz-Angeles. Kamusta po kayong lahat? This is Luminous. Babatiin ko muna kayo ha. Siyempre, nauuna yung mga nasa YouTube because StreamYard puts YouTube immediately on the screen. Ma'am Rosella Orpelo, Pinay Beauty from DC. Avelino Taroy, Mary Rose Toto, Julius, Frosty, Ronald Arsenio Fernando, Ada June Asis, Noli Alfonso, Lily Flor Gallardo, Rain Pinebook, Romeo Luzon, Vicente Fernandez, Golden Gate, Glenn Ordinario, Louis Escobar, Ma'am Pinay Paparazzi, Frosty, JAT, Art Star, Hazel Eyes, Sandy Parlado, let me see. At mga nasa Facebook, magandang gabi din kay Mario Avellana Palma, Luna Duresa, Gorio Hibla Malyari, Lani Born, Marie Marau, Ray Duque, Oscar Esquera, Raquenyo Adrian. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat, including Fe Cabalog, Ann Julie Coang, Ma'am Mandy Bagali Ama, Liza Jane Stoney, Jet Ordoyo, Alvin Ganaban. Magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat. Ang dami niyo na. Thank you very much for joining us. Bago ang lahat, huwag po kakalimutan mag-like and share nitong video na ito. At kung hindi pa po kayo nakaka-subscribe dun sa aming YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe po. At dun kung naka-follow kayo sa Facebook, please check kung naka-follow pa rin kayo. At kung hindi pa kayo nagpa-follow, well, wala ba kayo mga kamay dyan? Kaki-follow naman po kami sa aming Facebook. So, magandang gabi. Ito ang lumilitaw, no? Apparently, hindi kontento ang pag-file ng hindi kontento yung mga detractors o opposition kay BBM na may isang grupo na nag-file na ng petition para i-cancel yung kanyang certificate of candidacy. Merong mga gusto pang sumali, umiiral pa. But first, recap. May nag-file ng petition, hindi po disqualification ang final pero cancellation of candidacy. At ang sinasabi dun sa cancellation of candidacy na yon na si BBM daw it isn't tax related, well, it isn't directly tax related. Ang sinasabi nila is, kaya pinapa-cancel yung certificate of candidacy because may tinatawag tayong material misrepresentation. Allegedly, si BBM doon sa kanyang certificate of candidacy, doon sa kanyang pag-apply, meron daw siya, nag-lie daw siya. Yun yung ibig sabihin nun. Nagsinungaling daw si BBM sa kanyang pag-apply ng certificate of candidacy dahil hindi niya nilagay na siya ay convicted. At dahil dito, at tinatago niya yung conviction na ito dahil alam niya, supposedly, na siya ay madi-disqualify. So yun po yun. Yun yung original na filing na petition. Ngayon, nag-press conference, natawa naman ako dito, nag-press conference si Attorney Howard Calleja na supposedly meron siyang nire-represent na ilang tao such as, but not limited to, si Ma'am Carol Araulio, at si Ma'am Carol at saka yung iba niya mga kasamahan ay nagfa-file naman ng motion to intervene doon sa petition to cancel COC ni BBM. But in addition to that, gusto nilang magdagdag ng kaso, among other things, i-question yung decision ng Court of Appeals noon pa man kung tama ang decision na ito. Pangalawa, asan yung isa pa yan? Ito. Pangalawa, na crime involving moral turpitude yung hindi niya pag-file ng kanyang tax returns at dahil nakalagay daw sa National Internal Revenue Code na subject to the same penalties lahat ng violations ng NIRC. However, that's not what it says. So we're going to have a look at that one later on. So nakalimutan kong i-call up sandali. National Internal Revenue Code Section 253 yun, kino-quote nila. So we'll put it on the screen later on. So let's look at this one first. Dito sa, oops, dito sa ano, sinasabi that more groups will file petitions before the Commission on Elections. So, ito yung una nating pansinin. Lawyer Howard Calleja announced this in a new news conference Friday, November 5, alongside prospective petitioners Romel Bautista and civic leader Carol Araulio. Okay, Calleja said he will be assisting the petitioners in his personal legal capacity and not as a convener of One Sambayan, the coalition that's supporting the candidacy of Vice President Leni Robredo. Ay, ang daming pwedeng pag-usapan dito. Unang-una, announced at a press conference alongside prospective petitioners. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Na, bakit ganun? Sa CNN yung nakalitaw. Sandala palitan natin yan. Palitan lang natin so that we can see what Rappler is saying. Ito. Sabi nitong Rappler, ayan nga, Lawyer Howard Calleja announced in a news conference on Friday alongside prospective petitioners. Ibig sabihin, last Friday, nag-press con na sila, tapos, pero wala pang petition. Kumbaga, nag-press conference sila saying that they intend to file first a motion for intervention, sa madaling sabi, sasali sila doon sa petisyon para i-cancel yung COC. Tapos, meron pa din daw silang ifa-file na ibang kaso such as, ito yung sinasabi niya, they have not yet finalized if they would file a petition for disqualification, pero yun ang gusto nila. They would file a motion to intervene first, pero later on, sinasabi nila is, ito, ayan. Ang sinasabi nila is, atakihin nila yung kanyang candidacy through a disqualification by possibly filing a petition to question the Court of Appeals decision issued in 1995, 2000, whatever. Also, magfa-file din sila ng disqualification case para hindi po siya makatakbo on the ground that a failure to file tax return is a crime involving moral turpitude. Medyo suntok sa buwan. Okay? So, in addition to that, tignan ninyo. Okay? Calleja said he will be assisting the petitioners in his personal legal capacity. Parang sinasabi niya is, coincidence lang po na miyembro siya ng One Sambayan o convener siya, ika nga, ng One Sambayan. Pero wala siyang intensyon dito. Kumbaga, he's filing this in his personal capacity or as counsel for sina Ma'am Carol Araulio, and not as a member or not as a convener of One Sambayan. Interesting yan. Coincidence lang na kung sakasakali mag-disqualify si BBM, in their minds, posible na mag-benefit si Leni Robredo. Pero that's not what he's saying, di ba? What he's saying is, well, what he's trying to say is, coincidence lang yan. Hindi naman sa, fina-file ko ito dahil miyembro ako ng One Sambayan. Fina-file ko ito in my personal capacity. Naks, di ba? Kalain mo. Okay. Yan. So, there's so much here that's going on. Okay. So, kung makikita natin, okay, let's look at yung sa CNN. Okay. Dun sa CNN, iba naman ang ina-add nilang sinasabi. Sino ba yan? Ayan. Alright. Sabi dito naman sa sa CNN, ito yan, sinasabi niya, repeated failure to file ITR should fall under moral turpitude or acts that go against justice, modesty, or good morals, which is a ground her candidate's disqualification under the Omnibus Election Code. Ito, yung The new pleas would be based on two important grounds. First, that the son, kita mo, dinagdag pa. Kailangan nakalagay former dictator Ferdinand Marcos cannot run after supposedly lying in a COC. So, yun yung sinasabi natin. So, ulit, yung petition initially filed indicates that he's supposed to dapat i-cancel yung kanyang COC kasi may material misrepresentation. Yung second, kailangan i-disqualify siya kasi failure to file tax return should be a crime involving moral turpitude. At willing pa silang questionin at ipawalang bisa yung Court of Appeals decision. Ngayon, ano yung impression natin dito? Ang impression dito is nakakamangha yung medyo desperado. Kasi ang tagal na ng decision dun sa Court of Appeals, naging final and executory na yan. At ngayon, iniisip nila, i-challenge yung decision na yan by saying na mali kayo, dapat crime involving moral turpitude yan. O in addition to which, meron pa silang dito sa National Internal Revenue Code. Let's have a look at that. Dito sa National Internal Revenue Code, hold on, share screen. Nakalagay dyan, any person convicted, ito yung sinasite nila, section 253. Any person convicted of a crime penalized by this code shall, in addition to being liable for the payment of the tax, be subject to the penalties imposed herein, provided that payment of the tax due after apprehension shall not constitute a valid defense for any prosecution. So, dito, ang sinasabi nila, meron kasi mga penal liabilities for violating the tax code at kailangan hindi lang magbayad ng buwis kung hindi makakulong din. Unfortunately, kung titignan nyo yung section 253, nakalagay doon, ano yung 255, dinidefine niya kung ano yung failure to file return that is punishable by imprisonment. So nakalagay dito, yung penalty should be by a fine of not less than 10,000 and suffer imprisonment of not less than 1 year but no more than 10 years. Ito yung failure to file return that is punishable by that. Nakalagay, any person who attempts to make it appear for any reason that he or another has in fact filed the return or statement or actually files a return or statement and subsequently withdraws after securing the stamp. Okay? So, ang failure to file return dito is yung na pinalabas mo na nag-file ka ng return pero wala ka namang return na final. Yung second is may final ka na return, nakukuha ka na ng stamp para maipresenta yan later on, tapos i-withdraw mo yung return na yon. So, making it appear na nag-file ka ng tax return when actually you withdrew that tax return. Does that include yung failure to file by inadvertence, yung hindi na i-file talaga dahil siguro nakaligtaan ng tao niya doon sa sa Ilocos Norte local provincial government? Well, that's not what it says here. So, kumbaga, if we're thinking about, parang dumadami yung kaso, is there a reason for us na mapagabag? I see no reason to do that kasi actually sa totoo lang, parang naninipisan pa ako dito sa mga kaso na ito. Pangalawa, sinasabi ni Attorney Calleja na mag-file daw sila, questionin nila yung decision ng Court of Appeals after so many years had already passed. Medyo kakaiba naman yung asta niya na yun. Meron talagang deadline ang pag-file ng either motion for recon o appeal from a decision. Ito ay 15 days from notice. Usually, hindi ko alam kung anong gagamitin nilang dahilan para buksan uli yon. But the point here is that medyo malabo yon. The other point we're making here is hindi naman yata kagulat-gulat na nag-umpisa ito sa isang column na ginawa ni former Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio. And then, suspiciously, nag-file nun of course, ang nag-file on behalf of the petitioner to cancel the COC is Attorney Teddy Te. And then, ngayon, coincidentally, si Attorney Howard Calleja, who happens to be a convener of One Sambayan, siya naman ngayon ang nagpupursige ng disqualification case. So may cancellation of certificate of candidacy. Ngayon, merong attempt na i-disqualification case pa si BBM. and by people who all seem to belong, ay kung hindi man sa same na grupo, same na panig, parehong magkakapanig itong mga ito. Okay. Maraming salamat kay Lani Teokson sa kanyang padala ng super sticker. Let me check your questions. So ulitin po natin ha, i-recap lang natin para malinaw. Number one, the petition that was filed before the COMELEC was not a petition for disqualification but a petition for cancellation of Certificate of Candidacy. Isa lang ground po para sa cancellation ng Certificate of Candidacy. Ito ay material misrepresentation. Ibig sabihin, nung finill up niya yung form para mag-declare ng kanyang candidacy, hindi niya in-include doon na dapat disqualified siya or na siya ay no-convict at itong conviction na to might lead to his disqualification. Okay, may defense naman po tayo dyan. Ang defense dyan sa first action is that he didn't need to put in the conviction because his conviction, while it is true that he had one, it doesn't affect his candidacy. Kailangan niyang i-declare kung makakaapekto ito sa kanyang kandidatura. Hindi naman. Kasi nga, masyadong mababa yung penalty, which is a fine. It doesn't involve imprisonment for over 18 months. It is not a crime involving moral turpitude na na-establish na as early as 2012 pa in Republic versus Marcos. Okay? So, second, na gusto naman dito ay mag-file ng intervenor. So, sasali sila dito sa petition to cancel the certificates of candidacy. Pero pinag-iisipan din nila ni Attorney Howard Callejas and his clients na mag-file ng disqualification case using the failure to tax return as a ground for saying that it is moral turpitude. So, yun yung mga nangyayari diyan. Sabi ni Pretty MM, ay nagkukwentuhan pala kayo. Eto, sabi ni Ma'am Annie Bernardo, ba't si FEM sisihin nila, sabi ng mga ni Joma sila ni Noy nagplan, di ba pati sa Longga, Bulagwan ay grabe. I think you're talking about the bombing of Plaza Miranda. So, originally, sinisisi talaga si Ferdinand Marcos for that. Kasi, dahil sa gulo na yon, isa yon sa mga dahilan kung bakit nadeklara ang martial law. Culminating dun sa pag-ambush kay former Defense Minister Juan Ponce Enrile. So, kaya pagkakataon na sisihin si Marcos because in the early years, they were saying na siya yung nagpabomba ng Plaza Miranda so that he could use that as an excuse to declare martial law. Since nagka-revolusyon ng 1986, ang nangyari was lumabas yung mga tunay na kwento which turns out that Ninoy knew about the bombing of Plaza Miranda. Pero alam din niya na hindi si Marcos ang nagpasabog nun. Kilala niya yung mga nagpasabog and they were nasa panig po ng New People's Army and he knew about it in advance. 1 second lang po kasi yung dog ko yung kulit. Harry, stop! Sorry, I'm really sorry about that. Kasi kung hindi titigil si Harry if I don't address his issue. Okay, sabi ni Ian, same old tactics. Remember what they did to PRRD in 2016? Old tricks don't work anymore. Yeah. Ito, sabi ni Dennis Gabaka, tapos minamaliit nila si Bato. Parang hindi ko yata naintindihan yan. Hirit na yan. Ito, sabi ni Pablito Desyo, magiging magulong bansa kung makakabalik ang mga dilawan, babaluktutin na lang nila lahat ng batas natin, binababoy nila na siguro yun na ang nakagawian nila sa 3 dekada. Ma'am Karen says, lumipas na ang mga taon at tumakbo ng mga congressman, senador at vice-presidente si BBM, pero bakit ngayon lang? Di ba any public official issue nila? Porque Marcos surname as a presidential aspirant nang ngarag na to erase his candidacy in the race. The disqualification cases, hindi lang malamya, kung di kaduda-duda ang intensyon, di talaga marunong lumaban ng patas eleksyon ng mga oposisyon. Eh yun nga yung sinasabi ni BBM. Anong magagawa ng mga to kung nakikita nilang sobrang lumalayo na o nag-break away na si BBM doon sa nearest candidate who is allegedly Leni Robredo, 'di ba? Then they have to take him out of the race. Hindi nila matatalo sa eleksyon, kaya nilang talunin by taking him out as a candidate. Or at least they can try. Hindi natin sinasabi na mag-succeed sila. The other way to do that is to question his popularity. So meron dyan lumalabas ng mga balita na supposedly si Leni Robredo na daw ang number one, Sus Maria Josep, di ba? Okay. Next reklamo nila yung buhok ni Bongbong nang mag-training sa army, di daw nagpagupit. Alam mo, matagal ng issue yan. Nag-training kasi si BBM sa Scout Rangers. Pero yung mga pictures na pinapakita na mahaba ang buhok niya, yan po ay after bumaba na sila sa bundok. Kasi nag-training sila, jungle warfare training yan sa Scout Rangers. Sa tagal nila doon, eh wala naman gupitan, di ba? So humaba ang buhok niya. Ang hindi sinasabi ng mga tao is pag tinignan mo yung mga kasamahan niya na nag-training doon sa ranger training course na yun, eh mahahaba din ang buhok nila at balbasarado na. So kung gagawin nilang issue yan, medyo mahina. Diba? Eh, para sa akin kasi, I don't mind kung magkakaroon ng debate about even the eligibility of each of the candidates. Pero, yung fair naman, hindi yung fake news na ganyan. At the same time, pati tayo may obligasyon tayo maging fair kay, let's say, kay Manny Pacquiao, kay Isko Moreno, kay Madam Leni, and so on, tsaka si Senator Ping. Halimbawa, huwag naman tayo magpapalaganap ng fake news tungkol sa mga sinasabi niya. Hindi ako naniniwala na dapat natin gawin yun. Pero at the same time, we can still question. Ikaw, naging kongresista ka, nakalimutan mo kung anong bill yung una mong final. O yung una mong bill na naging batas. Kasi ako, sobrang laking accomplishment yun. Yung kunwari, nakapag-file ka ng bill, tapos within 3 years na ipasa, naging batas. Bakit mo makakalimutan yun? Ang hirap kayo maggawa ng ganon. Ay, ewan. Ito, sabi ni Agbayani Ustin, tignan niyo po ma'am, may iba pa silang idudugtong sa DQ ni BBM. Since malabo na ito pang DQ kay BBM, parang nilalawak pa nila yung issue ni BBM. Well, yeah, I agree. O ganito kasi rin. Minsan, hindi nila pakay yung manalo. Ang pakay nila, guluhin yung mga tao. So kita mo, sasabihin ko na rin, mag-file ng petition. Itong si BBM, hindi nag-file ng tax return and therefore must be disqualified. So ano yung umiikot ngayon? Tax evader daw si BBM. What the hell? It isn't even about his failure to file, which is what a tax evasion case would be. Hindi ka nagbayad ng tamang buwis. Tax evasion yun. So, meron dito, may petition to file cancellation of COC, pero ang umiikot na fake news nila ay tax evader daw si BBM. Meron kang makikita ng mga status na nakalagay na at least nagbabayad ng buwis yung kandidato ko, and so on. But does this have anything to do with the case? Only, like a distant cousin. Ginagamit nila itong kasong to talaga to spread fake news, to help spread fake news. So yan po ang ating babantayan. Minsan, it isn't even about whether they're going to win the case. Ang importante, ma-file nila para makahagis ng putik kay BBM. Or, they could do that with anybody. They also tried to do that with PRRD. Yung panganay niya, dalawa daw, sabi niya, moron. Kasi ang pagkasabi niya was, yung dalawa kong panganay. Meaning, her 2 eldest children. Ibig sabihin, mahina talaga siya sa Tagalog, I guess, or mahina siya dun sa kanyang mga idiomatic expressions. Sabi ni Atoy Palatan, suportado daw po ni Gov Garcia si Isko. Kasi po, dumalaw si Mayor Isko at nagsenyas-senyas pa si Gov Gwen about that. I'm not sure kung seryoso yon, kung meron siya talagang sinasabi na pro Isko siya. Ako iintayin ko until siya actually makes a statement. Hindi pa ako maniniwala na pro Isko siya. Kasi nga, laki ng kanyang, how do you call this, taya, nung she was there when Sara, Mayor Inday Sara, sorry, and Senator BBM or former Senator BBM had got it together. So, mahirap na rin magsalita sa ngayon. Sunny Doloroso says, though I get na nagbabayad na lang si BBM sa conviction niya for non-filing of ITR, do you think it was a wrong move na di niya dinerecho yung Supreme Court appeal? What if tinuloy niya to Supreme Court? Posible pati kaya yung conviction ng non-filing ng ITR na acquit siya kasi nagkabala ang Pinklawan against him now. Taya pa din yan eh. What if dinala niya sa Supreme Court tapos tinaasan pa yung penalty? So I think what they did was to just go the more conservative route and say, oh sige, bayaran na natin to. Anyway, hindi naman siya di-disqualify. Ito yung sinasabi, kasi you're putting too much weight dun sa sinasabi ng kabila. Bakit kayo naniniwala? Sinasabi ninyo na nagkabala yung kabilang side. Anong bala yan? Blanco? Nanggugulo lang sila. Kumbaga, in court, they don't have a snowball's chance in hell. So, pag sinasabi niyo kasi na ganyan, parang pinalalabas ninyo na mabigat yung paratang nila at mahihirapan si BBM. Di naman po siguro ganun kasi parang ang linaw naman ng batas. Ito, um, ang dami ko nakikitang ganito, hindi po tax evader, withheld ang tax ng government officials at acquitted siya sa Section 5 violation ng PD 1994, etc. I'd like to take something up with you guys as my audience. Madalas, sinasabi ninyo sa akin ito, hindi naman tax evader si BBM. Iba naman ang pag-file ng income, ang failure to file income tax return sa failure to pay income taxes and all that. I would just like to remind everybody that the same day or the day after Justice Carpio's column came out, kami lang po ang nagsulat tungkol dito. At kami po ang naglagay na magkaiba po ang ITR, ang failure to file tax return at saka failure to pay income taxes. Nauna na po kami sa lahat. So, kung maaari po, wag niyo naman akong i-quote sa sarili ko. O wag niyo namang sabihin sa akin, sabi ni ganito, ganito daw yan. Kami nga po yung unang-unang nag-analyze niyan, hindi nga kami nung una pinapansin. Tapos nung medyo kinalkal na ng trad media itong issue na ito, kung sino-sinong kino-quote ninyo, yung mga tao pang kino-quote ninyo, yung mga taong kinotes kami. So, parang awa niyo na, wag naman po ganyan. Kasi kaninang umaga po, nagbigay po ako ng talk about plagiarism to high school students. So, naaalala ko ito tuwing sinasabi ninyo sa akin yung mga ganyan. Hindi naman po ganito eh. Syempre, alam ko po yan kasi ako po yung nagsulat niyan. Tama sila, 36 nagsimula. Hindi sa naano ko kayo ha, hindi sa nakakaano lang, how do you call this, na babasag lang yung train of thought ko kasi parang ina-argue nyo pa sa akin at ginagamit ninyo yung argument ko. Right after that also, diniscuss po namin yan sa Karambola, tapos nag-live pa po ako tungkol dyan. Tapos ngayon, may mga magsusulat pa dun sa wall ko, oo nga, hinimay-himay na yan ni kung sino, ni ganyan, ni ganito, ni ganyan na. Ang dami niya, third generation na. Pero kung titignan niyo po yung date, kami po, umpisa pa lang sinabi na po namin yan. Hindi nga namin na-interview si Attorney Vic Rodriguez eh. Hindi namin nakuha yung original, yung petition dito. Kasi nga, alam namin na yung mga, kung disqualification at disqualification ng ipa-file, na-discuss na po namin yan. Ang second namin sana na i-discuss, yung petition to cancel COC. Sa totoo lang, kukunti pa lang ang nagdi-discuss ng cancellation of certificates of candidacy. Iba po kasi ang ground nito. Okay? Sa tingin ko, yan ang rason kaya naiinis sila sa substitute candidacy. If bawal na ang substitution, mas may time sila maghanap ng topic para siraan ang kalaban. But in substitution, nalilito sila kung sino ang sisiraan. The case of VP Binay, maaga nag-announce, kaya yun, kaliwat kanan ng paninira. I agree with you, Aaron, kasi gusto nila maaga ma-declare yung mga candidates para maaga din ang siraan. However, there's also a different aspect to this. Kapag na cancel ang certificate of candidacy, hindi valid yung naging candidacy and therefore hindi siya pwedeng i-substitute. Okay? Masasubstitute nyo lang kung valid yung certificate of candidacy. Sabi ni Ma'am Karen, kung follower kayo ng Luminous, ang pinakauna nag-contribute ng legal expertise free of charge nga was that it was just non-filing of ITR and non-payment. I agree. Sainthood it is. Ah, Ayan, paki-differentiate po yung bill and batas. Kasi po, sinasabi ni VP Batas po ang sinabi niya. Tama po ba yun? Nalito lang po ako. What do you mean batas po yung nasabi niya? I understand based on what she was saying is that she was talking about the first bill. Pero dalawa daw po yung naipasa, dalawa yung naging batas. Ito yung weird dyan. Isa kasi dun sa napasa niya na batas ay yung transparency law supposedly, well, bill, transparency bill, hindi naman po yata naidaan sa Senado. Nakalusot po naipasa po sa Kongreso pero hindi pa po yata nagiging batas dahil hindi pa dumadaan sa Senado o hindi po natatapos ng Senado. Pero tama po kayo, magkaiba ang bill at saka batas. Ang isang bill po ay proposed legislation. Pag batas, ibig sabihin na ipasa na sa Kongreso at sa Senado at napirmahan na ng Presidente. Sabi ni Ma'am Pinay, to be fair, nandito sa Luminous Live in discussion ni Attorney Trix about BBM's tax issue. I think it was 3 weeks ago pa. Ayan. Sabi ni Antonio, nakakatawa na walang pumapansin si tirada ni Trillanes versus BBM. Sa TikTok tinitira yung fake diploma, di umano, RIP sa kanyang political career and credibility. You know, never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake, sabi ni Napoleon Bonaparte, di ba? Sabi ni Cathy, pwede kaya kayo bumuo ng attorney's team ni BBM kasama si Attorney Vic and Glenn Chong. I think kayang-kaya na po ni Attorney Vic yan. Kaya nga I wanted to interview Attorney Vic immediately after lumabas yung balita na mayroong petition to file cancellation of her certificate of candidacy. Pero ang sabi niya kasi hindi pa muna daw siya magdokumento dahil hindi pa sila nakakakuha ng original copy of the petition. 2 seconds. Stop it, Hi, could you... Oh, hi. Hi, Babby. Sorry po. Harry was thirsty. Eto, sabi ni Cheryl Ann, kayang-kaya ni Attorney Vic yan, hindi gaya ng lawyer for Lenny na I will demand you, sabi nila. Eto, Francisco Edna Quizon says, mga yellow evil liberals, mga elitistang oligarchs gustong maagaw ang pamumuno ng bansa para magpayaman lalo. Kawawa ang mga mahihirap, wala silang pakialam, lalo pa nilang palakasan ang CPP, NPA, NDF terrorist group sa Pinas at ang Boga. Adrian Curry says, di po ba na-late yung filing ng petition for cancellation? Ganito po kasi yun. I think if I'm not mistaken, the last day was on a weekend. Kapag weekend po kasi ang last day, you can file it on the Monday right after. If the deadline falls on a holiday, you can file it on the first working day after that. So yun po yan. Ito sabi ni Miriam na Frias, if ever ma-DQ si BBM, pwede po pursue si Aimee. What do you mean pursue? Magsa-substitute si Madam. Kailangan, unang-una, hindi DQ ito at hindi ito cancellation of certificate of candidacy. Kasi pag cancellation of certificate of candidacy, walang kandidato. So wala kayong maisa-substitute. Pangalawa, kailangan magkapartido sila ni Madam. Thank you kay Abigail Kines dun sa kanyang super sticker. Tapos thank you din po kay Ernie Campita para sa kanyang super sticker. Tama talaga si Boss John at cringy talaga kapag nagsasalita si Lenny. Ito po ang gusto ko sanang i-discuss in addition to this, no? Um, 'Di ba sinasabi natin noon pa that incompetence in a public official is a form of graft. Kailangan magboto naman tayo ng matalino. Kasi pagka incompetent, ayokong sabihin tatanga-tanga, pagka incompetent at hindi alam ng isang opisyal na kung ano ang gagawin niya, then para nagsasayang tayo ng taxpayers' money. Okay? Kasi binabayad natin, sweldo ng mga yan, tapos hindi pa pala sila marunong o hindi sila marunong at mahina yung kanilang capability to understand, capability to do the job. So, yun ang sinasabi ko na parang tradisyon nung kabilang parlor. Parang para sa kanila, importante, ang mahalaga lang yung popularity. Kaya tignan ninyo si Noynoy noon. Popular kasi namatay yung kanyang ina. Pero wala pong nagtatanong, teka, ano bang capability nitong taong to maging presidente ng bansa? Ano ba ang capability niya? Ano bang experience niya? Ano bang pinag-aralan nito? And when was the last time he held a job? A real one, di ba? Or if he didn't become a legislator dahil siya ay ikinampanya ng kanyang ina, what would he be? What would he have become? Ang umiikot na rumors noon he wasn't ever able to hold a job for a long period of time and so on, di ba? Chismis yun. But kumbaga, yun yung style ng kabila yun. Style nila yung, sige, kailangan, popular lang. Never mind kung walang experience, never mind kung kulang sa kaalaman, never mind kung tamad, di ba? Basta popular, maiupo lang nila kasi siniisip ng kabilang parlor ay maaari naman nating abisuhan na lang 'yan. Kontrolin na lang natin itong taong 'to, which I found uh, well, not only condescending but insulting to us voters. Parang ganun. Ipipresenta yun sa amin, isang kandidato na walang kaalam-alam, syusyunga-syunga talaga, walang ka-experience, walang kakayahan. Let's say, meron ngang pinag-aralan, pero wala namang capacity na gamitin yung kanyang pinag-aralan. Kumbaga, not enough brains to rub two stones together and make a fire. Yun ang pinupush nila sa atin. So para sa akin, bakit tayo magpapa-insulto ng ganun? Na popularity lang? Yun na yun? Parang, tapos tatanggapin natin? Ma'am Karen Mata says, para sa amin na mga hampas lupa attorney, tatanga-tanga na yan lalo sa mga binibitawan ng Vice Presidente. Dadalawa na nga lang yung bill na ginawa, di pa maalala, nakakaloka, paano niya kami makumbinsin na magandang gobyerno ang ibibigay niya sa bansa. Correct. Sabi ni Aris, ano masasabi mo sa Lenny Robredo na ang nanguna sa isinagawang Veritas Truth Survey? I'm rolling my eyes. Kung saan tinanong ang nasa 2,400 respondents kung sino sa presidential aspirants ang tingin nilang nagsusulong sa Catholic values and beliefs, kuha si Robredo ng 37% at sinundan ni dating Senador BBM na may 27% at si Mayor Sara 31% lang. Una-una, titignan nyo kung sino yung nag-conduct ng survey at kailangan tignan natin kung sino-sino yung mga tinanong nila. Kung ang mga tinanong nila, mga kaibigan, kapitbahay, mga nakikinig sa kanila, edi syempre you will get the kind of results that they want. You will get the kind of results, the kind of thinking that they think. Diba? Nahahawa lang naman yung mga nakikinig sa kanila. Parang itong mga karambulista, natututo kayo dun sa mga sinasabi namin, kapag kayo ay na-interview o kaya na-survey, baka pare-pareho din yung mga sagot natin, including the hosts. Diba? It doesn't necessarily indicate that it's representative of the entire country. At itong sinasabi, 1% lang si Inday Sara, but she has said several times that she's not running. So why are we going to take it against them? Diba? Talagang bababa. So, no big deal. Sila-sila din yun. Parang ganito. Nag-party kami, mga kaibigan ko. Tapos, nag-survey ako dun sa party na yun. Di, pare-pareho kami nang iniisip. Di ba? Jojo says, worst scenario lang po. What if na tumagal sa Supreme Court yung case na to, din natapos yung election at nanalo si BBM, then biglang ang result ng SC is not favor to BBM. Pwede ba hindi ma-proclaim si BBM? Pwede ba mahalal yung number 2 sa election? Ano daw? O let's say magtagal. O sabi mo natapos yung election, nanalo na si BBM, tapos sasabihin mo hindi na hindi ma-proclaim. Mapoproclaim siya. Kasi kung hindi pa lumalabas yung desisyon, at the time na manalo siya at mapoproclaim siya. So nakaupo na siya. Sasabihin ninyo, ang lalabas hindi pabor sa kanya. O file pa ng motion for recon, di tatagal pa. Dami pa yung pwedeng gawin. Marami pa pong remedyo dyan. I seriously doubt na kayo mga worst case kayong ganyan eh. Hindi ko nakikita yan kasi hindi suportado ng batas eh. So, assuming na the Supreme Court is against him, de mag-file ng motion for recon yan. I don't know yet kung pwede niyang ipardon sarili niya. But it's not, it's not far-fetched. I mean, it's possible. Speaking of Lenny, si Pacquiao may mga bumubulong pa sa kanya dahil di niya alam kung ano ang kanyang sinasabi. Magiging katatawanan na lang tayo sa ibang bansa dahil yun na lang ang kaya niya. Well, yun na nga po yun. So ang sinasabi ko is, whether it is in the local government or in national government, magboboto naman tayo ng mga taong may kakayahan. Kasi kapag presidente ka, ang dami mong kausap. Ang dami mong iniisip, ang daming desisyon na kailangan mong gawin. Kailangan ka rin na may vision, kailangan makita mo, ano yung problema dito. At kailangan makakahanap ka ng mga solusyon. At yung solusyon na yun, kailangan rational, hindi yung walang connect. Halimbawa, magsasabi ka na para matapos ang pandemya, kailangan sugpuin ng korupsyon. Diba? Kailangan may nexus between the solution and the problem. Elizabeth Bacol says, sila lang yung 1% na sumusuporta dilawan na pinklawan na ngayon sa buong bansa. Xavier Lost says, sinatay ni Teddy Te, isa sa mga sources nila against BBM ay from Wikipedia. Okay, ganito. Huwag naman kayo mag-fixate. Diba? O sige, let's say Wikipedia na nga ang ginawa nilang citation. Hindi ba yun tatanggapin ng COMELEC? Sabihin na natin na Wikipedia yon. Yung source ba ng Wikipedia ay mali? I think masyadong mababaw kung sasabihin. Pwede natin pagtawanan, Wikipedia, hindi naman yan tinatanggap with any serious research, legal or otherwise. Pero does that mean it's not admissible? Kasi iba po yung admissibility. Pag tinag-uusapan natin ay ebidensya. Diba? Ang admissibility, ang kailangan niyan, unang-una pertinent, related siya dun sa sinasabi natin, dun sa gusto natin ipatunayan. Pangalawa, kung witness yan, kailangan may personal knowledge. Kung sources din, kailangan mo pa nga yan, ipatanggap dun sa hukuman. By itself, even a thesis, pag sinite mo yan sa hukuman, doon sa iyong hindi necessarily ibig sabihin na hindi yan tatanggapin. 'Di ba? Or tatanggapin yan automatically. Diba? It's not a legal citation. They are citing Wikipedia as statement to prove a certain fact. No, those are two different things. If legal citation at ginamit mo Wikipedia, pagtatawanan ka talaga. Pero kung ginamit mo Wikipedia supposedly to prove a fact, titignan ngayon ng huwes o ng hukuman yung source ng Wikipedia itself. So actually, ang mali dito is nag-cite sila ng Wikipedia when they should have cited the original source because Wikipedia is actually the derivative source. So yun po yung mali doon. Pero para yan yung sabihin na Wikipedia, titignan niyo muna, bakit siya sinite? Is it as evidence? Kung ebidensya yan, ang discussion dyan should be on admissibility, not on Wikipedia. Diba? Thank you kay Ma'am Pinky Malikse. JR Vlog says, kapag manalo man itong si Pacquiao, baka magaya siya ni Haring Ahasuerus sa Biblia sa panahon ni Esther na nagpapadala sa sulsol ng mga Haman na nakapaligid sa kanya. Dennis Malabed says, wala bang parusa o penalty laban sa mga nagfa-file ng mga kasong halatang gawa-gawa lamang at malinaw namang walang batayan tulad nitong DQ case? It's good that you pointed this out. Yung lawyers might be liable. Kasi, kunwari, kagustuhan ng kliyente mo, pero alam mong unang-una matatalo, baka sinasayang mo lang yung oras ng hukuman. In this case, sinasayang mo yung oras ng komisyon ng halalan. 'Di ba? O kaya malisyoso yung pagfa-file. No, nagsisinungaling ka dun sa iyong pleading. Kapag kunwari incomplete yung pleading mo, wala diyan nakalagay na certification na totoo yung mga pinagsasabi ng iyong witness. Doon. So yung mga ganyang pagkakamali, maaari po ang managot ay yung abogado. Maaari depende sa circumstances. Kung talagang alam ng abogado na wala talagang itong basihan at sinasayang lang nila yung oras ng hukuman, ay disbarable offense po yun. If they join now, isn't it late because of the 25 days filing rule to DQ? Hindi po, kasi they're filing as intervenors and not as the original party. Ang intervenors po talaga pumapasok yan after the case has already been filed. So, hindi po yan. So, wag niyo rin sasabihin na delayed kasi kung weekend nga o holiday yung deadline, then hindi pa po sila late if they filed it on the next working day. Ang totoo yun ang problema sa mga botante. Due to lack of education and poverty, ni-retain po tayo uneducated na mga dilawan para ala po tayong alam about election. Opo, matagal na po namin sinasabi yan. Kaya napansin niyo free tertiary education ang isa dun sa ginawa ng ating Pangulo at pinapaayos yung educational system. Kasi yan po yung panabla ng kabila sa atin. Kaya 'di ba madalas naririnig natin, nakikita natin yung mga school buildings natin, nakakatatlong shifts yung mga public school teachers natin o yung mga paaralan natin, di nagagawa ng bagong schools, puro dilapidated, mali-mali yung mga textbooks, hindi ginagawa ng paraan kasi the point is to make us poor and ignorant para hindi natin na-challenge yung kabilang parlor. Pag-uwi ko, Norwegian chocolate naman, attorney, sabi ni Ma'am Donna Gonzales. Maraming salamat po. Hehehe. May kaso po ba? Pag pinagbabantaan ka ng isang tao na papatayin ka at ano magiging sentence mo, this really isn't the time to ask personal legal advice. Just for now, sasabihin ko, yes, meron po yan grave threats. Kailangan i-research nyo na po yung sentensya. I can't tell you what it is off the top of my head kasi nga hindi ako nag-accept dapat ng mga personal na queries na ganun. Let's apply what they're doing to BBM if Bollet's wife files a case against Lenny on the ground of sexual harassment. Hindi po sexual harassment, malamang concubinage, pero dalawa po silang kakasuhan. Even if wala pang conviction sa court but it's moral turpitude, pwede na natin ipa-disqualify si Paglinawan, di ba? Sino may sabing moral turpitude yon? Check natin kung moral turpitude ang concubinage. Concubinage. Yes, it is. Actually, oo, no? So now we have to watch.
Birthday niya today.
Birthday today daw ni Leo Imperial, sabi ni Mermaid Bakes. Avid watcher from Verona, Italy. Happy birthday, Leo Imperial. Okay, Ma'am Jean, you're correct. Unang-una, moral turpitude po ang concubinage. Pero ang kailangan kasuhan dyan silang dalawa. Ang may penalty ng kulong pero maikli lang yung lalaki, yung babae ay destierro lang, hindi makukulong po yung babae. Pero moral turpitude pa rin siya. So, pwede siyang i-disqualify. Ito yung tanong, will the wife be willing to do that? I don't think so. I really don't. At saka ano yan, personal yan. I don't know what you're going to do to convince a wife to file something like that against her husband. Unless may intention siyang makipaghiwalay. So, I don't think so. I don't think she will actually file. It could fly. In other words, it could succeed. But I doubt in reality that it would happen. Ito, sabi ni LMX, I'm so enlightened to the fact that the Minklawan government is always bending the laws as what their supporters are doing at present. Thank you. Sink them all. Next. Thank you kay Yuel Balbin. So sad lang na baka puro tax cases, ill-gotten wealth, and ML ang topics na iba to kay BBM sa upcoming na debates, giving BBM next exposure on his plans. All right. Again, I'd like to point out na in-interview po ng Karambola very early si BBM. At after nung interview niya, I did a live and we did a lot of posts saying that so far BBM is the only person who has presented a platform and has pointed out that agriculture will be one of his top priorities. Okay? Matagal na po kami nagsasabi niyan. Hindi naman po kami nagpapadala dun sa naratiba ng kabila. Kaya lang dito, pinag-uusapan natin yan dahil may pagkakataon tayong ipaliwanag yung batas. So, sad na ganon? Well, then, do something about it. Let's talk about BBM's platform, di ba? And let's also talk about the fact na nag-consolidate siya ng support. Nakita natin, may picture sila ni JPE, tinataas yung kamay niya. Pero para sa akin, malaking bagay yan. Unang-una, si JPE had joined the EDSA revolution and in fact was one of its main movers. And for him to be reunited with the son of his former boss, seems to me that the solid north is becoming more solid every day, di ba? Bakit hindi si frustrated Supreme Court Justice ang nag-file ng kaso? Alam ba niya na di malakas ang binuhay niyang kaso? You tell me. Matagal ko na nga sinasabi yan eh. Okay. Ito. Kung meron rule na you need to be a practicing lawyer for 10 years before you can be appointed as COMELEC chairman, so di ba dapat ganun din before you can be nominated to be an associate justice na di man lang? Grabe naman kayo. Unang-una, sa pagiging maestrado ng pinakamataas na hukuman sa Pilipinas, hindi nga po kailangan na litigation. So maaaring nanggaling dun sa academe, maaari pong litigation lawyer, private lawyer, maaari pong nanggaling sa judiciary. Okay, so pwede po talaga. Hindi po yan COMELEC. Paano naging abogado si Mama Oleni? Nakalimutan niya yung mga kaso na naipanalo niya. Matagal ko na po inaamoy ang pagiging abogado niya. It's very questionable kasi parang hindi niya po alam ang dumalabas sa kanyang bibig. Well, ganito po kasi yon. First of all, abogado po talaga siya. So, pag kung tinatanong ninyo, paano siya naging lawyer? Well, she did become a lawyer through the usual route. She went to law school, she took the bar exam, and she passed it after a try or so. So, abogado siya, legit. Okay? But hindi naman lahat po ng abogado ay created equal. Diba? Hindi naman ibig sabihin na abogado ka, automatically magaling ka, let's say, mag-explain ng batas, magaling ka mag-litigate, magaling ka maging mahistrado, and so on. Kasi may mga, din tayo, we're all human. So, maaari din po na iba-iba yung kakayahan. Sabi ni Sir Bobby, for sure BBM is prepared to answer those issues in the debate. What I like about BBM's platforms and messages, optimistic and unifying. Well said, Sir Bobby. How about the DQ case filed will last even after the election at sakali panalo should the DQ case will continue o irrelevant na siya? Most likely magiging irrelevant siya. It could continue also or it could just take a while, much longer before it is it gets resolved. Butter Cheese Loaf, thank you very much for your super sticker. Ano masasabi niya sa sinabi ni Carpio, discrediting the CA that because he's bongbong? I'm not sure. I have seen the post. Let me look at it first kasi bawal po yan. May possibility pala na mademanda ng disbarment case si Attorney Tedite. Well, or i-question siya sa disciplinary, to question him for disciplinary action with the Supreme Court or the IBP. Pero ang kailangan yung patunayan niya na is that he willfully filed it or he was grossly ignorant of the lack of merit. Parang ganun. Ang daming commercial ni Kaisko, ano, mukhang mga bigati ng mga sumusuporta sa kanya. Naku, pag nanalo si Isko, may pautang na loob yan. Well, yeah. Pwede ka po bang maging Chief Justice? Hindi ako mag-a-apply. Anong magagawa ko po as a BBM supporter? Karamihan kasi ang mga kaklase ko, makaleni, tinatanong pa nila ako kung anong nagawa o accomplishments ni BBM. Salamat po. So, if we're going to talk about renewables, tandaan po natin, Ilocos Norte started it. So, yung mga windmills po, hindi po ganyang kadali. Lalong-lalo na nung time na ginawa ni BBM yun, walang infrastructure, walang legal infrastructure, at walang rules, even within government, to set it up. Ang dami nating kiyaw-kiyaw tungkol sa renewables, but BBM actually did it. So, if we're going to say who is the father of renewables here, I think BBM has a good chance of being called that, di ba? Keber, kung may-ari niyan, Ayala. BBM did it first. Okay? Nagawa o accomplishments. Medyo madami-dami. But of course, we still going to have to bring out his list of bills that were filed. Kasi ang isang dyan, ano ba ang nagawa ni Lenny? Marami nga siyang mga ribbon cutting, marami siyang nag-aabot ng donasyon and all of this. But did these donations help the country other than these individuals? Or did you just promote mendicantism? Yung pagiging mendicat ng mga kumbaga, 'di ba, feed the person a fish, or are you giving the person a job, are you making things better for them, and so on. So debatable yung accomplishments ni Madam. Sabi ni Rain, Santa Trixie, aking crush, pray for us. Okay lang kung walang barya, Ox, yung tatlong ulo. Who'll be the lawyers for BBM? Sasama ka rin ba sa laban? For sure, magiging lawyers ni BBM, Soljen, Gadon, Enrile, and Attorney Vic. Grabe grabe yung legal firepower na yon. Hindi na kami kailangan sa ganun, di ba? Mendicancy. Thank you, Ma'am Pinay. Good evening. Si former AJ Carpio ang nag-umpisa nito. Bakit di na lang siya mag-file ng kaso laban kay BBM? Duda ba siya sa sarili niya? Or maybe he just doesn't like to litigate. I don't think we can make a conclusion like that. But you're right that it is noteworthy na parang sinasabi niya na ito yung aking theory, I don't want to test it, kayo na lang. Nagtataka ako, why is the Dilawans Pinklawans pushing Robredo for presidency? Anong nakita nila sa babaeng to? She's not even eloquent and brilliant. Like, kami daw ni Attorney Harry Roque. Next. She's easy to control. Di ba? Thank you kay Ma'am Bads Balabagan. And thank you kay Francis Cayetano. Have you read the issue of vote buying via promising a franchise grant by Kong Marcoleta? Pangkape for sainthood. Thank you kay Francis. All right, let's talk about that. Teka, hinahanap ko yung post mo Ayan, para malagay natin sa screen. Kong Marcoleta says that yung pangako na ibabalik ang ABS-CBN is a form of vote buying. And I agree with him because it's a promise to do something in return for his vote, for the votes, di ba? O, iboto niyo ako, ganito ang gagawin ko. Especially since this is going to benefit a private person or private corporation. Hindi yan for the public good and so on. So, yes, in theory, I agree with him. Para nga siyang vote buying. Kung di propaganda ang pag-file nila ng cancellation kay BBM, mag-file din sila against De Lima, Trillanes at iba pa. Kasi hindi pa po convicted si Madam Laila at si Trillanes ay naka-appeal. So ulitin ko po ito, as I always do in all of our lives, hindi pa po convicted si Laila De Lima. So hindi pa po siya maaaring i-disqualify or kasi nga doon sa conviction by final judgment, doon na magiging crime involving moral turpitude, conviction of a crime involving moral turpitude, or conviction of a crime with a penalty of more than 18 months. Diba? Hindi pa po convicted. Si Trillanes convicted by the trial court, but an appeal prevents a case from becoming final. So hindi pa po siya convicted by final judgment. Okay? Engineer Reyes says makukuha boto ni BBM sa 2022, 34% base sa 2016 VP na nakuha ni BBM times 64 million times 80% voters equal to 17.4 million. Ang galing sa math ni Sir. Minimum na makukuhang boto ni BBM sa presidential race. Engineer Reyes, dapat kayo yung nagtuturo kay Vice President kung paano mag-multiply. Eric Mendoza says, true about ignorance in election of whom they will choose due to lack of knowledge. Dito sa amin sa Cavite, sa Patero, nanalong barangay captain kasi daw marunong makisama. Ayun, ayan, yan yung mga sinasabi natin. It becomes a graft case now. Ano po ba ang case against Lenny on the ground na sinisiraan niya ang gobyerno natin to the other nations at sino po ang pwedeng mabla sa kanya? If may case na siya in court, wala po. Ang final po namin ay impeachment. If may case na siya in court, pwede na ba tayo mag-propagate na ipa-disqualify din siya on moral turpitude kahit walang conviction or anything at all, just giving back the favor they've been doing against BBM. Ang kailangan po ipursige is i-file ng motion for immediate resolution yung kalaban ni Madam Lenny, si Mrs. Villafuerte, doon sa kanyang congressional race. Kasi meron siyang pruweba na tumanggap si Madam Lenny ng pera from foreign companies and from foreigners. At ito po ay grounds for her disqualification. And it could also be perpetual disqualification. Ko ang aso ko maligalig ngayong araw na ito. Hold on. Harry, I said stop it. What's wrong with you? Come on, stop it. Stop it. What are you doing? Oh, go to the room. Go to the room. No more now. Here. Go to sleep. Good heavens. Pasensya na po. Nag-iisa po kasi ako dito. Well, except for the dogs and the cats. So, yun. What you're looking for is another case that could disqualify Mrs. Robredo. And ang kailangan dapat buhayin not buhayin, kasi hindi nire-resolba ng COMELEC eh. So iparesolba dun sa COMELEC yung kanyang kaso for disqualification dahil nga tumanggap siya ng pera doon sa mga foreigners. Grabe naman yung aso niyo po, Inglesero. Ay. Rinig na rinig. Way back in 2016, sa dayaang nangyari, sinabi po ng COMELEC na may nangyaring dayaan pero bakit po hindi tinanggap ng Supreme Court ang mga evidence para umusad yung kaso na sinampan ni BBM? Tapos ko, didiscuss na naman po ba natin yan? Ilang beses na natin po yan diniscuss. Sinasabi ng court ay, okay, let's go back to the first issue. Dun sa first issue, sabi hindi mariresolve without resolving the second issue. And the second issue was whether or not itutuloy yung kaso kung may ebidensya of that. So they went into the ballot boxes at nalaman nila basa-basa itong mga to. There's no other evidence except the electronic counting. So yung challenge ni BBM was the electronic count. Ang sinabi ng court is that basa yung mga balota. So the only evidence we have of the count is ito ang electronic count. So madaling sabi, parang nag-conduct sila ng recount based on the original count. So, and then they said, there's no more reason to continue kasi wala namang ebidensya na nadaya siya. Okay? That's the long and short of it. Ay, bakit yung pinipilit talaga ang UP? Ano? Galit talaga kayo sa amin, pero nanonood naman kayo ng taga-UP na nag-i-explain sa inyo. Darna Elena says, ano masasabi ninyo kay Teddy Te bilang law prof ng UP? Ma'am, kung nanonood po kayo kasi ng karambola, may nasabi na po ako dyan. Diba? It isn't that he doesn't know what he's doing. He does. He knows what he's doing. The problem is they might have been filing ng last minute. So kung ano lang, anong pwede pa nilang gawin? Unang-una, magfa-file lang sila ng kung ano. kahit haphazard, dahil bago pa mayroong makasagot, kung hindi pa nakakasagot si BBM, pwede pa nilang amyendahan yan. Okay? Pangalawa, merong magi-intervene. Yung mag-file na intervenor, maaari niyang i-correct yung mga nandun. So, wag niyo po sasabihin sa akin anong nasasabi ninyo. Kung ini-expect ninyo, sasabihin ko na si Attorney ay tanga, hindi po mangyayari yan. Hindi po siya tanga, he's really very, very smart and he knows what he's doing. Ang problema, pag ina-assume ninyo na tanga yung inyong kalaban, hindi po kayo magiging ready. I-assume ninyo na magaling yung kalaban ninyo and there is a reason for this filing. Okay? Hindi po ako galit. Parang pinalalabas ninyo na law professor yan, UP yan, dapat alam niya yung ginagawa niya, bakit tanga yung pleading niya? Ay sino may sabing yan yung purpose nila? Di ba? It's also possible na wala silang intention manalo dito. Iba yung pakay nila, yun po ang titignan ninyo, hindi po kayo titigil sa sabihin niya, ay tanga, bakit ito yung final? Kung alam mong matalino yung kalaban mo tapos tanga yung pleading niya, ibig sabihin iba yung pakay niya. Hindi yun yung pakay niya. Either he was just trying to make the deadline and he's going to amend this later on or it's going to be cured some other way. Dun sa mga nagsasabing kalma lang, mabablock kayo kung ulitin nyo yan, ha? Let's get out and vote for him, sabi ni Vicente Fernandez, to defeat whatever plans the Pink Clown's propaganda. Yun naman talaga, di ba, in the end, you're going to have to vote for the person. Sa mga nagsasabi po na tatakbo si Attorney Trixie for public office, isa lang po tanong ko, ayaw niyo po bang makinig sa weekend live stream niya? Ano po masasabi niyo sa sinabi niya ni former COMELEC Chairman Christian Monsod na grounds for decaying estate taxes ng mga Marcoses? Okay. Ay nako, settled na po na issue in Republic versus Marcos that BBM is qualified to be the administrator or testator kung meron siyang testator, administrator or executor ng will ng kanyang tatay. Ay, first of all, number 1 yan. Sinabi na hindi crime involving moral turpitude yung kanyang conviction. Ngayon, ano yung issue dito sa estate taxes? Hindi ko pa ito nahahanap. Ngayon pa man, ang failure to pay estate tax po accrues to the estate. In other words, ang napipinalize niyan yung estate. So kung may ma-fine, yung pera po nang gagaling sa estate. It's the estate represented by the administrators. Ngayon, kung may kasalanan ng mga administrators, sila mismo po ang kailangang kasuhan in their personal capacities and not as administrators of the estate of the late Ferdinand. Okay? Finally, also, magkakaroon lang ng issue on the payment of estate tax kung ang mga property ay nalipat na po sa mga heirs. Kung hindi pa po nalilipat, then wala pa pong due na estate taxes. Hanapin ko yung case, ha. These are just general principles. Jade, ayokong pag-usapan. Bills, he died. He died of feline COVID. Hindi pa ako tapos umiyak. So, kaya matagal po akong hindi nakapost kasi namatay po yung cat ko. Ang maganda kay BBM, hindi siya pumapatol sa mga issues. Si Atty. Vic lang, hinahayaan niya magsalita. Nice move. How about 100 million PDAF allegation against BBM? Anong update doon at anong possibility na ibato uli sa kanya? PDAF? I don't think they're going to want to open up PDAF. Ang dami sa kanilang madadali. Sandra Ledesma says, naliwanagan po ako sa mga explanation regarding Teddy Te, malayo sa explanation ni TP. That's a matter of opinion, ha. Hindi ko ever babatikusin si TP because he's entitled to his own opinion and, iba yung aspeto na tinitignan niya. Yung mga attorneys karambola at tambayan sa DWIZ, should be in government. Any branch should. Wala bang sainthood? Ang pakay nila, guluhin ang isip ng mga simpleng mamamayan na walang alam sa batas para maalis ang suporta kay BBM. Correct. Yung propaganda value kasi ng kaso, hindi mo mai-ignore yan. Hindi po ako matalino, pero yung ginagawa nila ngayon kay BBM, ginugulo lang nila, pero bilib ako kay BBM, tahimik lang. Well, tama naman din yung ano, yung pananaw ninyo. Tama naman yung basehan din yung pananaw ninyo. Attorney Trixie will be a good legal advisor PBM, makakapag Luminous at karambola pa rin yan. Haha. Oy, magaling si Attorney Vic Rodriguez at yung ibang mga lawyers ni BBM. Hindi niya po ako kailangan. Unless kailangan niya ng panibagong cheerleader, then magpapagawa ako ng pompoms. Anong chance po na mag-collab kayo ni na TP at Miss Sas, discuss ng ganitong topic? Aba, kung may oras at saka magkakatugma-tugma yung oras namin. Magkakaibigan naman kami, hindi naman po issue yun. Oras lang po ang mahirap talaga para sa amin. Power of thinking is competence, a long-term solution of good outcome. Always decide, depend on the quality of outcome. PRRD must not be the best president. We should look for more better. Hindi ko po naintindihan. May karambulungan na po ba kayo if si Lenny ay tumanggap din ng pera galing kay Napoles o sa ibang assuming na may karambulungan kami, bakit ko sasabihin yon? Lalo-lalo na kung wala akong ebidensya at chismis lang siya. Pero interesting yun, ano, kung sakali. Anyway, Dave Verboom says, your live feed always enlightens us viewers. And we always wait to catch you up live for updates and explanation, especially when it comes to legal matters. Mabuhay po kayo for your undying service to the people of social media despite it being a weekend. Great job. Thank you. Yan, gusto ko po yun. TP sa Senator ni Trixie na abangan ko kung po talaga yan. Well, tignan nga natin. Like I said, mahirap rin yung nagkakatugma-tugma yung mga oras natin. Tandaan niyo po, si TP nag-aaral ngayon, kukunti lang oras niya. Yun nga ang pagkita namin sa Baguio, yun na yun. Yung last kita namin, wala pa kaming time talaga to catch up. Diba? But sabi ni John, Nax, ganda naman ni attorney. Oy, walang barya. But the thing is, I don't see them as anti-Marcos because based on what they're doing to demonize BBM tends to backfire at them. And the people now see how stupid they are and that the people need to unite so that the progressive changes continue. Tune po kayo sa tayo sa karambola, nagugutom na ako minsan, lalo na pag nagmarinig ng pansit. O sige, sa susunod, burger ang ipaparinig namin. Okay? Del Cayabyab says, may napanood ako na mayroon pa daw gold reserves ang Marcos sa ibang bansa at pag nanalo si BBM ay kukunin daw ito at pambabayad sa utang ng bansa. May katotohanan ba ito? Wala pa po akong ebidensya na ganon. So, let's see. Hindi pa po ako sure. I'm going to have to look for evidence of that. Tandaan niyo po, there's a lot of pathologizing going on about the Marcoses, including just how much money they have and so on and where the money came from and so on. Ganyan. Para sa akin, it always, if I'm going to subscribe to any of those theories, kailangan may ebidensya ako. At minsan, halimbawa, Mrs. Marcos is very good at spinning. She is the master of this. So sometimes she will tell you a story because she wants to distract you from certain issues. And so she's very, very good at it. If she tries to do something, like she tells you to focus on this or that, Mrs. Marcos was a player on a national scale and international scale. She knew how to project. She knew how to talk to people. She knew how to, distract people. So yung mga sinasabi na maganda lang siya and chuchu ganyan. No. So even what Mrs. Marcos says, you have to wonder, is she telling me the whole truth or is she trying to spin this so that there's focus on something else? So, because she's so wily at this and very, very good, especially mataas ang emotional, yung EQ niya. Even the stories that she tells about Ferdinand Marcos, a lot of the myth building, she was like Jackie Kennedy, di ba? After namatay si Jack Kennedy, isa lang ang binigay na interview ni Jackie. And she characterized the Kennedy years as Camelot. So, yung imagery na yun dumikit. So, tuwing naaalala yung Kennedy years, Camelot. one brief shining moment that was Camelot, di ba? Ganon. So si Mrs. Marcos also knows how to characterize the Marcos years, di ba? Na na she knows how to mythologize, she knows how to portray Ferdinand as this wily person and she also keeps the origins of the vast Marcos wealth shrouded in mystery and myth. Di ba? It works for her. And she's very good at it. And in that sense, I would compare her to Jackie Kennedy to some extent. Ha? Mamaya sasabihin na naman ng mga dilawan, how dare you, Chuchu? I know. Please. Is it true na yung na-find out ni TP earlier about the ex-Comelec head Christian Monsod's appointment being illegal? It was controversial kasi nire-require na ang appointment ng sa COMELEC is a lawyer with 10 years experience. So the case went up to the Supreme Court at sabi ng Korte Suprema, basta lawyer ka na, yung things that you do as a lawyer counts as lawyering for 10 years. Lawyer's experience for 10 years. The problem is, si Mr. Monsod was doing something else at sinasabi nila, well, he was a lawyer conducting business and so on. So, he was lawyering pa rin. So, the Supreme Court, some people have the opinion na yung decision ng Supreme Court na yon is, well, they bent over backwards to accommodate Mr. Monsod kasi dati ang pagkakaintindi ng experience as a lawyer or practice of law is yung ma-appear ka sa court, nagbibigay ka ng opinions and so on, nagfa-file ka ng cases and so on. Yun yung lawyering. So, naiba po yung practice, definition ng practice of law nung si Christian Monsod na. Okay? Why would a politician keep a record of voters' personal information? I watched Pinoy Vendetta who tried to penetrate Dick Gordon's website at nakuha nila yung database ng mga botante ng Olongapo. All politicians want to keep a record of their voters' personal or at least their voters' information. Kasi nagbibilang sila ng boto. So if you're campaigning and you conducting a survey, you get the opinions through conducting the surveys. Pero when it is time for you to know beforehand or to theorize beforehand, ilan ang magiging actual na boto niya, magbibilang kayo individuals. You will also know how to make targeted communication. Oh, I will talk like this, I will do all of these, how do you call this, mga Senate investigations kasi yun ang gusto ng aking mga botante. So it is targeted communication so that they will win. I don't think any politician is not going to do that. Any person who aspires for office, elected office, has to know his constituents. Ang tanong is this legal? How did he get this information? Yan ang tanong. Holy cow, why are my dogs so noisy? All right. Last two. Dahil sa boto pero sa kaso ng may sinasapot. Mas qualified ka pong maging commissioner ng COMELEC, sabi ni Stephen, kaysa po kay ex ko na Commissioner Christian Monson. Ay, grabe. Hindi naman po siguro. Luke Campos says, off topic, as a dog lover, ano pong name ng aso ninyo? My dog's name is Harry, my dachshund. My other rescue is Yoshi, he's a mixed breed. And my, ano bang tawag doon? Belgian Malinois is Cerberus. So I have 3 dogs. Tapos, I have one cat. I have a new cat. His name is Jack. Short for Jack O'Lantern. So that's it. Those are my ganun po ba si Madam Imelda Marcos? Basta si Jinky hindi magiging Imelda Pic daw. Laki ng tawa ko po, Tex. In other words, di ba? Mrs. Marcos also, did you see her gowns? Okay. Ngayon ko na lang nalalaman to because syempre I was steeped in the tradition, the anti-Marcos tradition. Kasi yun yung nakagisna namin na panahon. Ngayon, si Senator Amy invited me to have a look at her mom's ternos. And she told me, ang dami yung kwento ha. Like si Mrs. Marcos, her mother died while she was young. And so she kept some of her clothes para nare-retain yung amoy ng nanay niya, and she could when she was lonely, she would go into her mom's closet and smell her clothes. At ang pinaka kaamoy ng mother niya was yung mga panyo. And so Mrs. Marcos always had handkerchiefs and insisted on, na binuburda pa yung mga yan. Tapos sina Senator Amy always had to have handkerchiefs on themselves. So yung mga ganun na kwento that humanize them and make me think na, oh, sige, I missed out on knowing these things. So, and then Mrs. Marcos also had ternos that were indicative of that told us, that were informative. So, kunwari, she was meeting with the South Korean president, then she would wear a terno that would be inspired by the South Koreans, by Korean culture. So, may mga ganon. So, yung kanyang mga terno, thematic. Diba? Sabi po nila na acquit daw po mga Marcoses regarding sa estate taxes nila last 2007 pa. Okay. Ayun naman pala. So, my cat's name is Jack. Too, sabi ni Ma'am Josephine, she's a rescued orphan feral. My cat is a rescue and, came back to life. So, on the day that my other cat died. So, yeah, he was sick and he was supposedly terminal on the same day that BLC died. But the difference is si Jack woke up the next day like nothing happened. So the person who found out about him brought him to me and said, baka pinapunta ni BLC sa'yo. So yeah, my black cat is unusual. Sino yung tumatawag sa iyo habang magda-drive ka? Tapos ina-attitudean ka. Pabulong naman mo. Hindi ko pwede sabihin. Hindi ko pwede sabihin. Now, isipin niyo kung bakit hindi ko pwede sabihin. Tan-tan-tan. Sabi ni Ma'am Bell, if you want to know more about the Marcoses, please watch Miss Rita Gadi. Yes, but my problem with Miss Gatti, whom I love dearly, is that when she makes kwento, walang footnotes, at saka wala akong Yung iba, gusto ko naman kasi personal experience niya. Pero ako, I like to be able to see if there is documentation about it, di ba? So, may old interview si Kat Tunying with BBM. Nasabi ni BBM na hindi sila ng buong pamilya pumunta sa US kasi madami daw requirements, and that includes babalik siya sa Hawaii to get permit. Bakit po need niya ng permit? Hindi po ako sure. Let me ask that kay BBM. Isa lang rin, another request for you guys, please don't promote naman other pages on our news feed or even other di ba? Parang lang I don't go to other people's walls and say, oh, subscribe kayo sa Luminous. Uy, kayo, subscribe naman kayo dito kay ganito. Kung pareho kaming vlogger, kung pareho kaming, di ba? Intayin yun na kami yung mag-promote. Kasi parang medyo, it's a little off na kami, na-turn off ako pagka sasabihin nyo, oy, panoorin nyo si ganito dito sa di ba? I mean, nothing stops you from doing that on your page. Bakit dito sa amin nyo sasabihin yan? Bakit? Parang minimina ninyo yung mga followers namin para magkaroon ng followers yung ibang tao. Okay, last. Anong masasabi ninyo sa cancel culture in relation to the idea of boycotting BBM supporters? Parang ang dami nila. Ganito po yan ha. I don't really like the idea of canceling anybody because everybody has something to say. If I don't agree, hindi ko naman din kayo pipilitin, kumbaga. But I will convince you in some other way without being necessarily harassing. Like I will post about this person and this sort of argument on my wall. I don't have to go to somebody else's walls and bash him or her there, di ba? Uh, my point is this: there are two reasons for this sort of discussion. If it's elections, then the trajectory of your argument should be to bring people over to your side, uh, or to consolidate the following that is already there, the constituency that is already there. Cancel culture means you put up roadblocks uh, to interact. And if there is no interaction, how can you get people onto your side? Or if you don't care, paano yun? Di ba? Ayan, talaga naman, oh, pagkatapos ko pang sabihin, sasabihin ng iba dyan, manood din kayo ng ganito, ganito. Bakit kayo ganyan? Don't you understand that that's rude? 'Di ba? Sana ipaalam niyo man lang. Bakit? Kailangan ba ng tao na yun ng followers na kailangan minahin niya yung followers dito? Na ano, na super kulang ba yung sinasabi namin na kailangan dalhin niyo pa doon sa iba? Bakit kayo ganyan? Ay, walang siya. I-promote Karambola and Luminous. Hindi ko naman sinasabi na yun lang ang gagawin niyo. Pero ito yung sasabihin ko ha. I don't have followers dati ha. If I didn't point it out, ang daming pupunta sa amin, uy, nood kayo ng ganto, ganto, ganto. Bakit? Kayo ba pumupunta dun sa wall ng iba at sasabihin ninyo, manood kayo ng vlog ni Attorney Trix, manood kayo ng Karambola, manood kayo ng Tambayan, kukunti lang kayong gumagawa niyan. Samantalang yung sa kabila, ano, pinapadala ba kayo dito para magkaroon ng bago? Or ano, why are you doing that? Hindi naman tayo magkaaway, hindi naman kami magkaaway. In fact, kahit sila, sinusuway nila yan noon eh. So why are you doing it? Uh, Sabi ni Roel, block na lang yung ganong isang tao. VS, pero hindi po ako stressed. But this is something that we need to underscore. Hindi naman tayo magkakaaway dito. Nagkikwentuhan tayo dito. Binabasa ko pa nga yung mga comments and all that. And kayo, binapanood ninyo ako. So, symbiotic ito. We both, we learn from each other. So, why is it necessary na magkakabastusan pa tayo, di ba? Eto, Ma'am Ying, syempre pwede naman. Ako okay rin lang that if if the another vlogger sends people here to say na panoorin siya, then wala akong choice kundi to send people there and say panoorin ako. But I don't want that kind of yung hindi kami magkaaway eh. So wala akong inaaway na ibang vloggers, pero ayoko din naman sana na binabastos tayo ng mga followers nila. Dahil I respect everybody's opinions. Pero Ma'am Ying, oo naman, pwedeng-pwede naman yan. Pwede naman. Hindi ko lang gusto yung nakikipag-away tayo sa mag-i-eleksyon. Gusto natin manalo yung mga taong gusto nating ipanalo, di ba? So kung nakikipag-away tayo, bakit sila makikinig sa atin? Oo. Sabi ni Buhay mukhang nang-aasar lang. Okay, well, tama na yan. Let's move on. So, balik tayo. Recap lang po natin yung kaso ni BBM goes this way. Against BBM was, first, the filing of a petition for the cancellation of certificate of candidacy, and the sole ground is material misrepresentation allegedly material misrepresentation ni BBM, saying na wala siyang conviction. But to be fair, wala naman siyang conviction that would amount to a disqualification on his part. So I doubt na mag-fly itong cancellation. Now the second one is to equate his conviction for failure to file income tax return to moral turpitude. And that includes yung pinag-uusapan ni na Attorney Howard Calleja, aside from intervening in the original petition, tinitignan nila kung maaari pa nilang ipa-disqualify si BBM. Take note, nag-press conference na sila, wala pa silang fina-file, pinag-uusapan pa lang nila. Anong ibig sabihin nun? They're trying to get as much media mileage as possible kasi malaki yung possibility na Diyos ko, posibleng matalo itong kasong ito. So the point in these cases is the mileage and the doubt that they can create in the minds of voters. Doubt lang ang kailangan nila. Pwede kasi later on sabihin nila, ba't nyo iboboto yan? Eh, kung matatanggal din yan later on. O, diba? May hanas na kaagad built in. Alright? Maraming salamat sa lahat ng sumubaybay ngayong araw na ito. Maraming salamat dun sa nag-like at saka nag-share sa lahat ng naka-follow at nag-check kung naka-follow pa rin sila. Ma'am Ying, hindi namin kayo nabisita dun sa Baguio, but when we go back, we will really make time. Sabihan niyo lang kami kung nasaan kayo. Or sasabihin namin kung saan kami matatagpuan at a certain time. Maraming salamat din sa lahat ng nakasubscribe sa YouTube. Ang swerte ko sa inyo, sa inyong lahat. Thank you very much. Kung may time tayo bukas, as I always say, minsan naman sobrang pagod ako. Ganito, kung mag-live ako bukas, biglaan yon. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Naku, galit na si Harry sa akin. Thank you, everybody.